Welcome to Holy Voices, where timeless truth meets your present journey. If you are here, it is not by accident. Your spirit was led to this place for a reason. Every word you will hear carries light, strength, and direction for your path. Stay with us, and let this message unlock the wisdom waiting inside you. The harvest belongs to the sower. Plant your $50 seed into Holy Voices and prepare for your season of breakthrough. The truth burst like lightning over the sky, chosen ones. You talked with unquestionable clarity in every word. As the color faded from their faces, you remained steadfast. Your justice had exposed what they were frantically trying to hide, evidence they couldn't deny, realities they couldn't deny. They shudder in terror now, not in anger, but with the icy knowledge that what you said was accurate. Not lies or hyperbole, but the unadulterated truth exposed for everyone to see. Your quest for justice reveals everything they have done, shattering their complex barriers. However, they continue to withdraw into denial rather than take responsibility. Voices stuttering, eyes darting. They won't take responsibility for their conduct. When the spotlight shifts to them, the very accountability they expect from others becomes abruptly inconvenient. Your justice did not pursue retribution. It looked solely for the truth. However, that reality has turned into their biggest worry. Actions they can no longer pretend don't exist are reflected in the mirror. You were able to see beyond the veil and perceive things that others could not because of your spiritual awakening. You openly called out the lie, saw the patterns, and recognized the manipulation. They called you unstable because of this lucidity. They tried to isolate you because of this truth. However, time, the most truthful of witnesses, now validates all of your observations. Your adversaries will have to face a reckoning they never expected. With cosmic accuracy, the weapons that had been created against you return to their creators. People that dig pits to bring you down end up stuck in those same pits. Those that propagate negativity about your name now experience the same acrid taste. Justice is carried out by universal law with perfect accuracy. You don't need to get involved. They are now physically exhibiting their terror. Those who caused your pain have restless nights. Those who create turmoil while projecting a false sense of calm are crippled by anxiety. It is not because you cursed them that misfortune comes upon those who wanted it upon you. Even if your hands are still clean, the energy they used eventually makes its way back to your house. The same people who disregarded your cautions now hurry to get ready for the very situations you outlined. The same individuals who mocked your observations now covertly put your freely given wisdom into practice. But they can't admit you're the source because of their pride. They'd rather suffer in silence than acknowledge that you have the insight they didn't. Your justice comes with calm inevitability rather than with a loud declaration. It penetrates every nook and cranny of dishonesty, shedding light on what was concealed. It reveals every scheme that has been plotted against you in the darkened rooms. When their time comes, the hushed plots, the calculated character assassinations, and the purposeful isolation methods all surface like bodies in water, unable to stay underwater. The people who pretended to be your judges are now in front of a higher court. Those who assigned themselves to carry out your reputation's execution are now being scrutinized in a harsh light. The universe maintains ultimate balance while allowing momentary injustice. What comes out now is just the solution to an equation that was started when they started acting against you. The extent of their dread is demonstrated by their desperate clinging to untrue stories. They bet on your silence, your loss, and your submission even though they knew from the start that their actions may have dire consequences. They didn't expect your tenacity. Your spiritual protection was never taken into consideration. They didn't think that forces beyond their understanding could protect your way. Observe their disintegrating coalitions with disinterest. Now those who banded together against you turn viciously precisely against one another. Only the resistance to your light unites us. Once that shared enemy is no longer their focal point, they are unable to form enduring ties with one another. Like rats running away from a sinking ship. Desperate to protect themselves, they disperse. All of them became solely focused on their own survival. Adversity helped you see clearly, but deceit blurred their vision. While they continued to focus on physical manifestations, you understood that the conflict was spiritual in nature. While others rejoice too soon, you realize that temporary setback frequently preceded eventual success. While their fleeting victory turns into a deep loss, your power now comes from the insight you gained via suffering. Their trustworthiness is being questioned by the authorities to whom they turned for approval. Their testimony is now contradicted by the witnesses they called. Now, the evidence they created shows that it was fabricated. Without your active participation, the methodical demolition of their meticulously crafted case against you continues. What is impossible for human effort to achieve is orchestrated by divine timing. Rather than displaying strength, their unwillingness to take responsibility shows spiritual immaturity. Real power admits its mistakes. Genuine authority acknowledges its mistakes. True leadership accepts accountability for its deeds. Their persistent denial betrays a deep weakness rather than confidence. The failure to honestly confront oneself. Even more than they fear repercussions, they fear accountability. Every truth you expressed sowed seeds that are now producing fruit. The harvest season comes without warning. You just used genuine expression to create the conditions. The truth-infused creative force in your words brought reality into being. The deceptive remarks created a fleeting illusion that vanishes when examined closely. The full image is shown when the cosmic camera pans back. What formerly seemed to be isolated instances against you is now manifesting as a trend that impacts many. Persecution that appears to be personal turns into institutionalized oppression. Your personal commitment to truth is linked to the awakening of society. Your personal struggle advances the cause of emancipation for all. A broad justice is heralded by your particular vindication. The people who used your weakness against you find their own defenses aren't working. Those who took advantage of your momentary vulnerability see a decline in their own strength. The difficulties that those who praised your hardships now experience are far worse than anything they caused you. Neither your involvement nor your vengeance are necessary for perfect equilibrium. It just is. Watch them age in front of your eyes. There is a physical cost to deception. Deterioration is accelerated by the stress of upholding complex lies. Falsehood eats up their life power, while truth keeps you alive. The disparity becomes more noticeable. Your growing clarity against their growing confusion, your growing serenity against their growing disorder, and your metamorphosis through adversity polished you like precious metal in fire with every day that went by. You came out stronger, more lucid, and more genuine. They remain stuck in recurring cycles as a result of their reluctance to growth. They oppose the very things that could save them. The lessons that could elevate them are rejected. The accountability that will eventually free them is something they reject. They transgressed spiritual principles that function mathematically. Outwardly directed energy needs to finish its circuit. Experience is the manifestation of intention. There is an equal response to every action. Regardless of acceptance or belief, these concepts work. They were never exempt from the application of universal law because they denied it. Their brief escape only postponed the eventual comeback. Watch as they make progressively more frantic attempts to evade the impending accountability. They strike out with diminishing effect, much like animals who are cornered. Although their charges get increasingly serious, fewer witnesses are persuaded. Their attacks get more intense but have less of an effect on you. Their resistance grows more apparent, yet it doesn't stop your divinely planned ascent. Your adversaries interpret divine timing as a sign of unfairness. Delay was seen by them as denial. They mistakenly believed that weakness was the same as patience. They were not prepared for the universal forces that were gaining speed against them. The reckoning that is coming to them is bigger than they could have ever dreamed. The repercussions that await them go beyond their narrow definition of justice. Because they instinctively understand that what happens is now out of their control, their terror grows. Their trajectory cannot be changed by any amount of modification. No cunning plan can deflect the impending judgment. They are not immune to universal law because of any powerful connections. They may be facing a power that is immune to their typical strategies for the first time. Their carefully crafted reality was at danger because of your truth. Their act was revealed by your genuineness. Their corruption was exposed by your integrity. Their hollow religious pretension was exposed by your sincere spiritual connection. Their outspoken uneasiness was offset by your quiet assurance. Just by being yourself, you established an intolerable contrast that they were unable to ignore or put up with. The identical fires they used to try to destroy you were used to make the armor of righteousness you wear. By examining their deceit, you were able to strengthen your shield of insight. The stone of their resistance was honed by the truth-wielding sword. Each weapon they used against you eventually made your arsenal stronger and theirs weaker. Their former audacity turns into blatant fear. They used to criticize you in public, but now they only mutter about you in private. They now work in the shadows, when before they would move openly to undermine you. Whereas before they openly asserted that they opposed you, they now deny any involvement. More is revealed by their retreat than by their advance. Proverbs 27 verse 17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." Subscribe to Holy Voices and sharpen faith with us. This is a message from Mike, the creator of the astral atom-powered Holy Voices Inner Order. Look, I understand that you came here to watch the one video you selected, but I need a moment. I might never be able to forgive myself if I don't say this into the field right away. Some of us were abused, banished, born into flames, and plagued by facts that no one else could accept. That does not imply that we are doomed. It indicates that we were selected to pass through the veil and return with the map. Within the Holy Voices Inner Order, we meet in person once a week via Zoom. I mean it when I say real people. A former military drone operator now controls the device with his thoughts. A rich CFO in Noosa gave up everything to pursue a career as a psychic. A soul who fled Mormonism and discovered the Nazis, a seer, a sage, and a spiritual healer who was formerly imprisoned within a demonic cult. When their calling struck, these are the people who sacrificed everything. And that's only a sneak peek. Additionally, all calls are recorded. Thus, you can hit play and experience the field once more while you're by yourself, crawling through the muck of your own waking. Perhaps this is for you, but it's not for everyone. Do you think you'll fit in with us? Join the Inner Order of Holy Voices. The description contains a link. We appreciate everyone's support of the broadcast. Without you, we literally could not accomplish this. Evidence that is not admissible in human tribunals is accepted by the divine court. Whereas earthly courts simply look at action, the cosmic justice system takes motivation into account. Where mortal authorities need tangible evidence, universal law enforcement recognizes intent. No thought against you was left unnoticed. No scheme because you harm was left undocumented. Their case against you is fully documented in the transcript. While your brief loss protected what was most important, their brief win cost them everything. They lost both when they compromised their morals for the sake of advantage. You benefited incalculably by giving up advantage for integrity. With every disclosure, the gap between your positions becomes more pronounced. What seemed to be your weakness turns out to be your strength. Their apparent strength turns out to be their downfall. Acknowledge that your vindication has spiritual importance. It moves beyond individual fulfillment and into the sphere of group display. Others see divine justice at work through your situation. When you stand up for what you believe in, people are inspired to do the same. Others recover their suppressed expressions when you refuse to give up your true voice. Your personal triumph adds to the awakening of the world. Now the chronology separates in front of them. Accountability, humility, admitting mistakes, and the possibility of restoration are all provided by one route. The other promises persisted in denial, leading to worsening outcomes, spiritual decline, and ultimate devastation. They are afraid in part because they have to make this important decision. When decision points arise, it is acknowledged that cosmic patience has its limits. Your justice is shown via revelation rather than retaliation. There is no need to defend truth. It only has to be seen. The darkness was never attacked by your light. It just showed what was inside of it. Confusion was never attacked by your clarity. It merely offered a different perspective. You made justice possible without taking on the role of its executive by continuing to be in line with higher ideals. As justice is served, their spiritual bankruptcy is revealed. They fear cosmic foreclosure because they put their money into fleeting power rather than timeless truth. They face repercussions without the means to bargain for better conditions, their moral credit depleted by repeated transgressions. Their glaring poverty now stands in stark contrast to the spiritual richness you amassed by upholding integrity in the face of hardship. Watch how the exact communities they turned against you now question their narratives. See how audiences who once trusted their stories increasingly question their veracity. Observe how their power dwindles right where they used it. It works against you in the most damaging way. They liberate themselves by awakening perception in the territory they have won by deceit. Truth doesn't need complex upkeep, so universal forces align to support your perspective. Falsehood necessitates ongoing reinforcement, ongoing modification, and unwavering attention. Eventually, they can no longer produce the energy needed to maintain their deceit. Meanwhile, your truth stands self-supporting, requiring no defense, existing independent of belief or acceptance. Even while they actively reject spiritual law, they grasp it unconsciously, which makes them more afraid. They know deep down that it is impossible to indefinitely avoid cosmic equilibrium. They are reminded by some ancestral memory that when universal principles are violated, there are natural repercussions. Their growing fear is a reflection of their growing awareness that they cannot avoid what is coming. Your vindication is the manifestation of the spiritual authority bestowed upon truth speakers. Those who receive heavenly understanding may be persecuted for a while, but they will eventually be justified. Cosmic legitimacy is given to the prophetic mantle you carried, frequently against your will and in the face of overwhelming opposition. Once rejected, the messages sent through you now show their profound accuracy. Observe how the justice you see is specifically targeted. It particularly impacts the locations where the offense took place. Those that assaulted your reputation confront reputation problem. Those who have weakened your money face financial ruin. Those that socially isolate you feel abandoned. The people who doubted your sanity are dealing with their own mental breakdown. Perfect reaction is executed with divine precision. The spiritual protection that surrounds truth speakers is something your opponents learn about too late. Those who channel divine messages are assigned unseen protectors. Those who act as channels for greater awareness are surrounded by cosmic boundaries. For those who stand as ambassadors of the greater truth, the universal defense mechanisms came into play. What seemed to be your weakness was actually incalculable defense. When evidence comes to light with extraordinary timing, their attempts to change history fall flat. The exact strategies they employ to hide the truth end up serving as tools for its exposure. They transgress spiritual rules that function without human acknowledgement, belief, or awareness. Whether one accepts the existence of universal justice, it nevertheless exists. The nearing completion of this cosmic cycle is revealed by their growing desperation. The point at which a transient imbalance settles into perfect equilibrium is near the universal time frame. With perfect accuracy, the heavenly mathematics completes its computation. They didn't see the spiritual maturity in your patience under tribulation. In contrast to their blatant frailty, the traits they derided as weakness now manifest as transcendent strength. What happened in the dark is now illuminated by the cosmic spotlight. Their covert activities are aired on spiritual channels that more and more enlightened observers can access. The severity of their transgression is revealed by their terror. They provide a more persuasive testimony against themselves through their response than any outside witness could. More important than personal justice is the divine timing of your vindication. It comes at the exact moment when the collective consciousness is ready to be demonstrated. Beyond personal consideration, your unique experience contributes to the cosmic curriculum. Because your justice symbolizes the restoration of divine order rather than a personal grudge, it materializes with supernatural assistance. Universal forces align to rebuild equilibrium disturbed by purposeful antagonism to truth. Your vindication demonstrates the application of universal principles rather than only being based on personal experience. When someone uses spirituality as a weapon against you, they realize they have ventured into dangerous terrain. While the forces they actually serve demand payment, the spiritual authorities they purport to represent withdraw protection. The difference between your current position and theirs shows all necessary about the courses you respectively took. Your brief pain resulted in enduring tranquility. Their fleeting victory sparked ongoing unrest. Adversity strengthened your integrity and created an unbreakable foundation. Despite their advantages, their corruption created an unavoidable collapse. Retaliation or punishment are not the means by which universal justice functions. Rather, it is the perfect restoration of equilibrium. The dread you see is a sign that people who profited from the short-term imbalance are aware that equilibrium is nearing. The time of your vindication is impeccable. Not when you expected it, when you requested it, or when you felt it was essential, but just when its influence is most useful. Human scheduling has no bearing on how the heavenly calendar functions. Cosmic timing operates based on global principles rather than individual preferences. Supernatural accuracy is revealed through what seems to be a delay. Those who continue to ignore your truth in the face of overwhelming proof show spiritual decay rather than strength. Instead of displaying remarkable perseverance, their continual denial of reality, despite its increasingly evident expression, displays cognitive disintegration. Instead of demonstrating moral belief, the resolve to uphold deception in the face of its eroding credibility demonstrates pathological detachment. Though they also materialize, your opponent's spiritual repercussions go beyond these outward signs. Beyond financial collapse, reputation destruction, interpersonal breakup, and institutional failure awaits confrontation with ultimate reality. Beyond physical sensation, they are facing an existential reckoning. Your giving shakes the spiritual realm. A $100 seed into holy voices is an act of faith heaven cannot ignore. The cosmic responsibility that awaits them goes beyond the consequences on earth. Your justice is demonstrated in both overt and covert ways. There are some obvious repercussions for collective witnessing. Others take place in privacy, with only the individual affected. Some disclosures are made in public for general recognition. Others come forward for close identification. Simultaneous operation of both dimensions makes total responsibility unavoidable. Those who disregarded your spiritual sense now have to deal with things that their materialistic framework is unable to account for. Those who disregarded your cautions now face situations that their narrow viewpoint never foresaw. Those who disregarded your observations are now navigating new ground. Their conditioned cognition fails to comprehend. Part of their terror comes from facing what their worldview denied existed. When opposition is at its strongest, the widespread support for truth speakers is most apparent. When persecution reaches the highest level of coordination, the cosmic protection that surrounds heavenly messengers is most evident. When the highest organization is attacked, the spiritual defense that includes genuine voices is most effective. Ironically, your greatest weakness revealed your deepest invincibility. The more they realize what they've triggered, the more terrified they become. Their deliberate rejection of truth activated spiritual powers beyond what their limited knowledge could have foreseen. Their deliberate rejection of the heavenly word creates a cosmic reaction that goes beyond their intellectual framework. Their willful suppression of light elicits a universal response that transcends their personal experience. Your opponents are now standing precisely where their decisions put them, dealing with the fallout they caused and facing exposures. They were afraid of seeing things they denied were possible. Their current location is a natural result of their choice, not a judgment from without, and hence symbolizes complete spiritual justice. The horror you see is an acknowledgement that their meticulous construction includes seeds of its own doom. Universal justice is achieved whether or not you are involved. No matter what you want, cosmic balance will return. Regardless of your contribution, divine order restores balance. You are released from the need to pursue or impose accountability when you comprehend this spiritual principle. The resistance to the truth you stood for activates natural law, which is how your vindication comes to pass rather than your own efforts. More powerful than any words you could say is the witness of your actual experience. Your persistence in the face of their concerted attempts to discredit you speaks louder than any argument you may make. More clearly than any proof you could offer is your nonviolent progress in spite of their resolute efforts to stop you. Both your defense and their indictment are contained in your own existence. Due to divine scheduling, your justice arrives precisely when it is supposed to, neither early nor late. What seemed like a delay had a purpose you were unaware of. What appeared to be a postponement served a purpose you were unaware of. Conditions that were required for greatest impact upon revelation were set by what appeared to be denial. Despite human impatience, the cosmic calendar functions with superhuman accuracy. The spiritual repercussions of resisting divine messengers are revealed too late to those who punished you for preaching the truth. The people who attacked you for exposing reality are only now seeing the widespread consequences of opposing genuine revelation. Those who discredited you for revealing dishonesty are aware of the cosmic consequences of avoiding true light. Their terror recognizes their growing understanding of the forces they foolishly opposed. The whole story is told by the contrast between your individual paths. They go down into restricted perception while you go up toward expanded consciousness. They regress into more intense bewilderment while you go into greater clarity. They retreat into deeper conflict while you move closer to greater harmony. All that is required to understand the decisions that led to them is revealed by the branching routes. Their inability to take responsibility is a last-ditch effort to escape the unavoidable face of reality. Their final desperate attempt to avoid impending disclosure is their denial of accountability. They exhibit terminally determined resistance against impending discovery by rejecting responsibility. Their fear recognizes the unconscious understanding that such evasion eventually only serves to increase rather than to prevent consequence. Supernatural cooperation occurs when your vindication takes place in several dimensions at once. This justice's comprehensiveness beyond the scope of human orchestration, showing heavenly dance that is beyond mortal comprehension. Observe impartially as global law completes its faultless function. Your involvement involves neither coercion nor intervention, only an understanding of principles that function without human effort while precisely reacting to human decision-making. The involuntary evidence to the power of your truth is the terror you see in those who disagreed with it. They validate everything they say with their response. They justify everything their statements deny because they are afraid. It is revelation, the straightforward but impactful revelation of what actually happened, that brings about your justice, not retribution. Your vindication is shown by blazing clarity that merely reveals what was always there behind artificial cover, not by destroying force. The most obvious manifestation of the spiritual shield that surrounds you is the widespread acceptance of your status. When the adversary is at its strongest, what formerly seemed to be vulnerability turns out to be invincibility. Their anxiety grows as they realize that facing the ultimate reality is what lies ahead, which goes beyond financial ruin and reputational damage. The subconscious comprehension of this transcending reality is acknowledged by their fear. There are other uses for your vindication than merely personal justice. Your personal triumph adds to the awakening of the group. Universal liberation is facilitated by your personal vindication. Your justice will come at the exact moment that God has planned, not in accordance with human expectations. Despite mortal impatience, the universal calendar runs with perfect accuracy. The people who persecuted you learn to be happy with the spiritual leaders who guard truth-tellers. Their terror recognizes their growing understanding of the divine protection they foolishly contested by rejecting the truth you stood for. Justice has come to you. The natural functioning of universal law, not your vindictive pursuit. The unavoidable operation of cosmic principle, not your resolute efforts. Not by your well-thought-out plan, but by the flawless performance of divine law. Be a mindful witness to this manifestation of spiritual justice that validates everything you stood for while requiring nothing of you. If this message touched your heart, don't leave without spreading the light. Click like so this wisdom can reach more souls searching for truth. Subscribe to Holy Voices so you never miss the next divine word prepared for you. And write your thoughts in the comments, your voice matters here. Until next time, keep walking in faith, keep growing in wisdom, and remember, the journey of the wise never ends.